Fresh Start Worlds are here and I have just 5 goals. 1 purple from all 3 raids, make 1 billion GP and obtain an Infernal Cape. Join me as I build my new account from scratch, all the while rediscovering RuneScape. Welcome to episode 0. Here I'm going to establish a baseline for the account and work towards some basic stats across the board. I need to identify some good moneymakers as I'm not swapping nor playing any alts for this series, so if this account makes it to main game, it also won't be receiving any help from my main account either. Now, I want to explore a ton of content I've not touched in years, but if you're playing old school RuneScape for the first time, or are just starting out, then the first thing you need to know is that questing is everything. Well, having fun is everything, so prioritize that, but questing is the best source of early levels, area unlocks, transportation, and so on. And if you really want to experience the game to its fullest, one of your first major goals needs to be the quest cape. And that's of course what episode 0, this prologue, is going to be about. It's about getting all these quests out the way and exploring the manner in which I do that. So I'm not a massive fan of quests, but with the help of RuneLite client via the Jagex launcher, questing and tedious actions in-game have been streamlined, and you'd kind of be mad not to use the tools available. So I strongly suggest using both in conjunction, as it allows for the smoothest gameplay experience possible. It gives you higher FPS, smoother graphics, less annoying click options, and just general problem-solving plugins. So that's just some of the features on RuneLite, and remember not to go overboard on plugins. It's all there though, and Quest Helper is one of the largest QOL plugins, so while you might miss a bit of the storyline going quickly, if you really care for that, you can always take your time and slow down. So our early game consists of following some major resources on the wiki, notably the Iron Man Optimal Quest Guide. And now you might ask, Addy, you're not an Iron Man, what's the deal? But simply put, we're on a fresh economy with no stems, no easy to access high-end gear, and we can't just buy all of the good stuff directly. Optimal Iron Man Guide is therefore a good choice, and I'll be following this closely while training minor stats where needed to continue the quest lines. So, we've just got into the game, and first thing to do? That's right, head over to the Stronghold of Security and subscribe. I'm going to be working on this series for the next 6 months, so the support is super appreciated. Now, let's claim our free 10k, as this funding will be necessary to purchase a ton of the early basics and fuel the questing grind. Main accounts are really all about money, how you acquire it, spend it, but also kind of respect its uses. All of this is necessary to be able to excel and progress efficiently through the early game, as well as understanding how to really buy gear at the late game as well. Starting us off here, one thing I want to draw some attention to is the adventure paths. These are actually quite a good source of early items and a little bit of GP in the early game, especially for Iron Man. And this is the first time I was interacting with it, and throughout the entirety of my first day playing, I used adventure paths a ton, and I upgraded my weaponry, gained a ton of runes, a bit of more GP, as well as some useful potions. And eventually I ended up finishing adventure paths at around the end of day 1. So I'd strongly recommend pretty much anyone who's playing out for the first time to take a look at this. Whenever my character catches up, there we have it. Fight Arena. This is the first big quest to give us a huge amount of combat experience, taking us to 29 attack, nearly 30, which I'm going to get very quickly. And next up, we're going to go straight, and some Thieving XP, which is really valuable as well. And a bit of money, even better. Very, very nice quest to get out of the way. And what we're going to do is go straight back to Lumbridge using a TP after this to try and get some stuff done. Probably click on the combat 2 to get another weapon, a mithril weapon, to start training even further. Might even be able to go a bit further, I'm not sure, but I guess I'll get the strength in as well. You know, we'll just wait it out, and we'll finish up this quest as well. I think this will give me some strength XP? So it's really in Witch's House next, and then this will give us all 3 here. Defense will be lacking for a while, but that's okay. As we get more attack levels and strength levels, we'll be able to train a lot faster. Combat level is going to skyrocket as well. We're up to 17 now, and it's going to go past 20 after this quest, I think. Unless it is only attack XP. Honestly, I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I've done this. That's kind of the point. Alright, I'll get me through here. Right, Cat needs attention. We're still training him up. Sorry, I mean 200 death runes. Cat's happy. I need to feed him in a minute as well. And the double in one take. Here we are. Gonna finish up Tree Gnome Village as well. I believe this grants access to spirit trees, which is going to help with a little bit of the ability to move around. For example, going to Varrock is going to be really nice. So, tree does tree things. We do like trees. Very nice. Happy spirit tree. Happy me. And the actual reward itself, there it is. Attack XP exclusively. Spirit tree access as well, and a gnome amulet, so we can start doing waterfall eventually as well. I don't know what this even does. 35 attack though, very good. Now I just want to point out at this time, I had already done like 20 odd quests, and I was starting to get into the combat related ones. So I'll flash a couple up on screen as to the type of quests I've been doing, but I really just did a whole day of questing, and even on my second day I was just non-stop questing, trying to make as many gains as I could, unlock as many things, get as many quest points, and just generally complete as many as I could do that had 0 requirements or next to no requirements. So if there was like 10 wood cutting, I'd go train wood cutting for a bit. If there was 10 fire making, do the same thing. 10 thieving, sure, nothing crazy, nothing like 30-40, just getting all the basic stuff out the way. And anything that could have been trained up within 10 minutes, 20 minutes, I'll just go and do it and then come back and revisit the next quest. So I've decided to try my hands at Monkey Madness. It's really good combat XP and good unlocks, and of course I'm at this point in the quest. Now, I can't imagine what this would be like without Runelight Quest Helper. Honestly, I think I have done every quest in the game without Quest Helper. I simply played before Quest Helper was a thing, so I had stuff like back in the day Sal's Realm and Rune HQ and all the guides and stuff. Never actually used Slayer music, funnily enough, and I'm pretty sure I had to do this one myself, so I've done this, but dear lord, I can't imagine doing it ever again without Quest Helper. It just seems so awful and obnoxious. So, I don't know, if there's one thing that would convince a person to use Runelight, I would hope it'd be this thing in particular. Because if you get here and you don't have it, you'll be here for like easily an hour, I want to say. Unless you're like a prodigy at solving these, you're just going to be here forever. So thank goodness for technology. This is like one of the few things that Quest Helper or this puzzle solver, it just helps so much. It would just drive you insane and add like 20-30 minutes, if not an hour, onto the quest. So feels very good, man. Alrighty, there is 100 quest points. I've probably a bit late, but started off on the RFD things to get some more farming experience and just general continuation of the quests, which is my life now. Woo! Pain in the butt, because I had to go get baby dragon bones, buy an uncut diamond on the G, luckily it existed, and I had to do a quest on Karamdra to get the extra piece I needed to enchant the secateurs, but we're done. And this is one very, very big XP drop in farming, attack, and magic, taking us all the way to 20 farming exactly, and no other levels, but good XP all around. Actually pretty close to another level on all my combats there. But that farming level is really big right now. So I'm going to start Fairy Tale Part 2, and the reason for this is because this unlocks fairy rings. Now, I don't actually have the stats for it, but you don't have to have the stats for it in order to do anything. So, basically the first part of the quest gives you the fairy rings, and that's all I got to do. So, it takes 5 minutes, but it's worth it for sure. So, I'm going to head over there, and we'll have fairy rings in almost no time at all. Right. So, after unlocking fairy rings, I decided to come over to the Enchanted Valley, which is where I'm at right now. And this is a little method to safe spot this tree demon, this tree spirit that appears when you try and cut this tree down. And they drop really good amount of nature runes. I've actually got some insane luck, I think. I've only killed like probably 20, if that, like 15 to 20, and I've got this many nature runes, which is insane. And this alone is worth like nearly 100k. It's crazy. So this has actually set me up big time on money. And I've got some other stuff along the way. No rune axes, unfortunately, but as I'm running out of air runes, this is going to be my last one for now. I'm going to get back to buying some of the big important stuff that I can now buy, which will help with training, sell off a few useless items, and then begin going back to the lovely quest grind that I've had a lovely break from. We're up to 41 magic right now, which is good. I need to go a bit higher, but not bad. Look how many nature runes I get. It's like every kill is just more nature runes. I'll do maybe 1 or 2 more, since I've still got a fair amount of air runes. And the good news is I can go back here anytime I want to if I want to farm nature runes. To have this many is honestly just an absolute blessing. I don't know if I'm lucky or if there's something weird about the rates right now, but I don't think I should be getting this many. I'll open up my loot tracker real quick. It says I've killed 30 for a total of 264 natures, which is kind of crazy. I think they're meant to drop about 5 on average, so I'm nearly like 100 over the average. Maybe I'm lucky, I don't know, but I'm glad either way. So anyway, this will set me up. I'm going to go off and do all the free-to-play quests, maybe not Dragon Slayer 1 right now, but I should have the money to do after I sell a lot of these nature runes, so really the ground has been cleared a bit. I have a lot more freedom now. I also realized I have a spare bond on this account, and you can sell bonds right now for about 200k, which is obviously insane, but I'm trying not to do this with any like bought money or swaps, so this is more of an authentic experience. But right now this is a fantastic means to get some early GP, as natures are highly sought after for players to alch. One of my greatest concerns is also getting to high alch, because high alch itself will be incredibly valuable in the time to come. 22 more nature runes. Again, I think something's up with the rates. I think it's meant to be a 1 in 5, but I'm simply too lucky for this to actually be a thing. So very happy with this either way. I need to make sure to go straight to the G and sell this off, and I'll see how much I have after I'm done there. Well, I stepped away for just a few minutes to let things sell off, and I gotta say, I think this is going to push me over the first 100k on the new game mode, so not even like 1 hour at the Tree Spirits is yielding literally 100k an hour, and it doesn't sound like a lot, 100k, but it's honestly just incredible to see how much money you can make, and even at this point in the game, this is really, really valuable. So I'm definitely going to go back there and camp for a bit more at some point, but right now I've got to restock some of my supplies and get back to the good stuff. You know what it is, it's quest time yet again. This used to be one of my favorite quests, but I'm not gonna lie, Quest Helper has broken it. There's no fun in working it out anymore, and I'm very sad. That being said, smithing and crafting levels are really nice, and this quest will always have a special place in my heart personally, so a huge amount of all around the board XP for the Giant Dwarf. This is a good one to get out of the way as well. Nothing crazy in there, but I do actually want the magic, thieving, crafting XP more than anything else. Smithing level. What else we get? Crafting level, thieving level at 30, fire making up to 31 as well. All around the board, pretty good stuff. Meeting notes, yeah, okay, goodbye. Yeah, nice quest, good levels. Gonna be 700 by the end of the day, hopefully. And no agility in sight, of course. So I've set Elvarg up in a little flinch spot here. I'm sure there's plenty of ways of doing it. I just came to the room and decided this would work, and it did. I think you can use any of the skeleton spots around the room and such. But, flinching is one of those fun mechanics. It's, like, pretty simple to do. Just gotta wait until the HP bar disappears, and then I can click Elvarg and then click back. And with 80 HP, with my new Rune Scimitar and decent melee gear, well, literally just, like, Rune Scimitar and Amulet of Strength, we're gonna make fairly quick work of Elvarg here. Well, there it is. Dragon Slayer 1 about to be completed. We must quickly yoink off the head. Yoink. Yes, a completely normal thing to do. Okay, finishing the quest, we have to go to Oziak, of course, and we have to tell him of our endeavors. I think the best way for me to do this is to go to the monastery and then go to Edril via the Edril Fairy Ring. So we're going to run over here and, yeah. So, to give my, this is like a pretty good point to stop for a minute and just have a little chat. Points so far that I think are really interesting is that it is very much a small player base. I mean, here, look at the people I'm playing right now. Like 1,000 people playing in total, and it's been 1,000 for a while, so I'd suspect there's like realistically 2,000 people playing the game mode, of which let's say 1,000 or, you know, not even that, like 500 are going to play to any extent properly. So it's going to be a very, very small economy, which is honestly really interesting. I can make 100, you know, I can make a 1k profit from just like one emerald ring purchase and then turning it into a dueling ring. So it's actually really interesting and fun to be able to make money in this sense, and you can't do this in the main game due to the smaller margins and the scalping bots that probably exist in order to prevent some of that. They add to liquidity a lot, but they also take away from the fun that is this sort of like rough and really just player-driven market that you don't really get anymore in the main game. It's not the real thing. This feels much more like it did back in the old day. Big quest coming in, 18,500 XP in strength and defense. I actually thought it was attack, but it's not, so we're going to get a good amount of defense levels here, bumping us up to level 40. But this is a really big quest of prayer. Spirits of the Eyelid complete for 8,000 prayer XP, some thieving and magic as well. Please 40. It's not even close, it's 38. Oh my goodness, I've got a long way to go. Well, I have unlocked protect from magic. Oh, the effort that goes into unlocking prayers. Thieving gets a level though, so not terrible. Pray for magic will be useful in some places anyways, so after completing Spirits of the Eyelid, I decided to go to Blue Dragons and camp them for around about 50 to 60 Dragon Bones. Outside of being a really good moneymaker right now, because Dragon Bones are hella expensive, this was my best way to get prayer experience, and using the Wilderness Altar here gives me a really big increase to the amount of XP a bone offers, and also doubles the amount directly by having a 50% chance to save the bone from being degraded as you use it. So we end up here with 45 prayer, giving me access to all the major prayers that I require, including all 3 protection prayers, and also Mystic Might and the Eagle Eye prayer. So I'm really set now to complete some of the harder quests, as basically protection prayers negate, in most cases, 100% of damage taken. So protection prayers are hugely valuable, and getting them out the way at this stage, real happy. Right, 10k GP is always nice, 3 diamonds, cool. But the most important part right here is going to be the training with Dyro. This is going to be really big, and it's probably going to go straight onto strength if I can have it on strength. Strength and stamina, or attack and defense. Strength and stamina, I mean HP and strength I presume, which is I think preferable in this case because we are lacking in the strength department a little bit. So we're going from 40, let's see what we get to, all the way to, holy moly, strength level 46, HP 46, and you get a bit of attack here and a bit of defense. So huge gains across the board there for the melee combat department, putting us to 58, nearly 59 combat as well. Alrighty, my friends, welcome to my new moneymaker on the Fresh Start Worlds. So it's kind of interesting, and after completing Monkey Madness, I have access to the shop. In this shop, it sells lore runes, and lore runes are not easy to get, and everyone needs them to get around. The current price of a lore rune on the GE is about 310 GP, and I can buy them for about 240. This means there is, of course, a 70 GP difference between this shop and the GE. Now, let's just say for a second that it's a 50 GP difference, because as I buy lore runes, what I'm doing is I'm buying 3 sets of 10, and that's it. And now the price of the lore rune goes to 246. So let's just say for a second I want to dump this for like 50 GP profit. Then what happens is I'll get 50 GP per lore rune that I can buy. So I'm starting here with about 110k of cash, and I'm going to show you how much money I can make with this method in just under 5 minutes. So here we are, we hop worlds, we buy 10, 10, 10, and I just hop down the Fresh Start Worlds. So this process was actually really awesome. I used it for quite a long time now, nearly 2 or 3 hours over the course of this evening. And as you can see, the lore runes were selling off very consistently, moving up from just 90k to a span of, I think it was even like 500k across just 1 hour of game time. So this method worked incredibly well, and my theory is that all the people who were able to do Monkey Madness early enough probably had enough money from swapping or alternate accounts that they were playing on, such that they didn't need to bother with this moneymaker. They simply had enough GP and weren't bothered, and just because they got to Monkey Madness early didn't mean they needed to capitalize on it. So I was one of the few able to do this, and I'm pretty happy that I found it out myself, because I didn't really think about any moneymakers so far. So nice to stumble across it, and glad to be able to have profited greatly from it, as it's going to set me up big time for the next few days. So one thing I want to draw attention to is the RuneScape wiki actually has a prices section. I don't know if it's actually the wiki, but it's the website's like prices.runescape.wiki/whatever. I'll leave a link in the description below alongside some other useful links. But this site basically shows you the margins on different items and how much money you stand to gain, assuming you know the shop prices, or if you were to buy and sell based on the recent buys and recent sells. So if you're like me and you're interested in the market and how it works, then this website works wonders, assuming you know a thing or two about the items that you want to buy. And it gives you the extra edge over players who aren't using it. The standard player might go to the GE and just plus 5% to buy something, but if you're a smart cookie and you want to have a look at this on the website, especially in an early economy like this, you'd be saving upwards of 10 to 20%, if not making money on certain purchases. And as I progressed through the first few days, I used this website an absolute ton to try and minimize the loss on the GE and maximize profits when selling off items, including the lore runes. So this would help me by being able to look at the lowest buyers and the lowest sells and highest buys, and then deciding where to slip in, whether it would just be a couple of GP under the previous offer, or if I could perhaps stop selling for a bit to let the prices rise back up again, because me alone doing this 24/7 would have crashed the lore rune market big time. And even over the course of just 2 or 3 hours, I was taking the price down from 319 GP all the way down to about 280 GP with the help of other people who were dumping their lore runes. So it's a really powerful tool, but it's also important to pay attention to how much impact you're having yourself. And sometimes, not doing anything, slowing down and letting the market recover is the best option. So big shout out to that website, and again, it's in the description. So this is one of the last things I want to talk about this episode, and that is molten glass and crafting experience. One of the most important things when scaling is to look for competitively good methods of XP that are also profitable. And right now, making molten glass is about a 30-40k an hour, I think, which is decent at this level, XP-wise. But it's also a really good moneymaker because so many people want to train crafting. So instead of actually using the molten glass myself, I can just buy the precursor elements, turn it into molten glass, and gain some pretty good XP. And while it's not quite as AFK as glass blowing, which is the second step after this, it's really profitable to sell it off. So what I want to do, probably at the start of next episode, is to get about 500 molten glass and 500 soda ash, and just see how much profit I make from them. So I think this is a really good time to end off. We got a huge amount of questing done, about 800 total level after 2 to 3 days. And I'm about rank 50 on the high scores, give or take a little bit. I think I've been questing more than most other players, so my stats aren't actually as high as they could be. But all things considered, it's a really strong start, and I'm really happy with where I am right now. So I think let's leave it off here for the first episode, or episode 0, I guess, since this is a lot of like the early progress. And we're going to start to get into the training saga over the next few episodes as we finish up some of the medium quests, get more stats to actually begin thinking about doing some early bossing, but mostly just put us in a position to continue working on that major first goal, which is the quest cape. So those overarching 5 goals of 3 raid items, 1 from each raid, the 1 billion GP in Infernal Cape, are going to have to wait for a little bit as we start with some of the just medium level goals to begin with. But I think that's all for now, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you're interested in following the series, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and of course a like would also be appreciated. But I think that's all. I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.